Hi, this is ASDP ufologist Jody Brown from Arizona, and you are watching Alien Strand Podcast with host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and welcome to today. Hey, man, what a better way to start this month of November, right? With an awesome podcast. So we got Nancy Thames, and she's going to be coming on here shortly. But I just hope everybody had a really nice Halloween, right? Because I don't know if you guys saw the videos and the pictures of me and my wife. Well, yeah, we like dressing up for Halloween. We're like having a good time. So that's what we do. And we love passing out candy, you know, and that's what we did to all the kids out there. We were able to get a big old bowl. But you know what? There was still half a bowl left over. And guess who got it? Me. There should have been more kids, man. Maybe next time. All right. So it's okay. I'm working on my diet. January 1st, 2024. Not right now. We're going to wait till Thanksgiving and we're going to wait till Christmas because I'm going to eat tamales. I'm going to eat turkey. I'm going to eat all that good stuff. And then I'm going to diet. All right. So I'm going to be there with Mr. Cherry Lynch. He's watching tonight. You know, speaking of Mr. Cherry Lynch, I talked to him a little while ago. He's doing great. You know, he's getting ready to go out there and he's going to go and shoot the new videos for the cattle mutilations or whatever they're going to be out there. Man, I can't ever say that word. I don't know why. But anyway, so he's going out there to go do that, right? And we're gonna get you guys a nice, awesome documentary out there while he's going out there and shoot with Oregon Ufology and Research with Jonathan Mitchell, his son, and they're all gonna go out there and film some awesome and amazing things and beautiful interviews. So if you guys haven't done this yet, please go to Alien Strand Extras on Patreon, right? We do have a Patreon. Now, I do extra podcasts, right, that are not on here, not on this platform. You can go on there. You can actually there's a free one that you can see some stuff that happens here with everybody else, but I do have some for subscribers that pay the $5 a month. They get to see extra stuff that you guys don't. Hey, but you know what? It all helps out, and we just got some more people that just joined up. Thank you guys for that. Everything helps, man, because it helps get this information disclosure on all these platforms, and because it gets a little pricey sometimes. But you know, everything helps, and we appreciate you guys and everybody that's standing by Alien Strand Disclosure Project, Alien Strand, for everything that we're doing here today. All right, so that last podcast that I did on Patreon was about RH negative. They're on Patreon. So if you guys can sign up, you'll get to watch this podcast I did on RH negative. It's about 45 minutes long, but it was a great one. Go check that out. All right. Tonight's podcast, remember, is going to be a great one. It's Alien and Human Connections with Miss Nancy Thames. Okay. So we're Tim's. I'm sorry. We're going to get her around here just a minute, but, and she's going to have some amazing stories and amazing things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a lot of good things that you guys want to hear about disclosure, about people that are in close connections with extraterrestrials. So stick around for that. Also, don't forget, watch our movie The Middle on Amazon Prime. It's fixing to go away pretty soon. You know why? You know why it's going to go away soon? And you guys need to watch this film. It's only $2.99 on Amazon Prime. It's free on Tubi TV and TCL channel. That's our first documentary that we ever did for Alien Strand. And Ledge Productions, my company, we were able to throw that out there. And it's a story of Mr. Terry Lynch up there and what he found on top of Paulina Peak. But it's getting ready to go away. But you know why? I'm telling you. You know why? Because The Middle 2 CE3 is coming out already. I already finished it. And guess what? It's going to be coming out pretty soon. I just sent one out to Mr. Terry Lynch. He's going to actually watch it tonight, and he's going to give me his insights. I might do some changes. I don't know yet, but it's pretty much done. This is going to be a great 3-section film. Okay, so there's going to be 3 parts to this film. All these people did a great job, an amazing job in telling their stories, because all they had was disclosure after they see UFO crafts and actual extraterrestrials at times. All right. So that's what this film is about. Make sure you grab it. Remember, follow us on Alien Strand Disclosure Project, man. You have to go there. This is for everyone, right? If you want to report a UFO, or if you want to, just report, even we do paranormal there as well. Okay. So go to asdp-ufo.com. You can actually report a UFO. You can see some stuff that we have on there. Meet and greet the people that are part of disclosure out there, right? So we have a bunch of folks on board that actually do sponsor their state for Alien Strand Disclosure Project, right? And our sister page, alienstrand.com. Go there if you want to see some really cool stuff, all right? This topic is very, it's not easy to talk about sometimes because, and I always tell you guys about this, that, when it comes to extraterrestrials and the state of mind that it puts you in, right? Because it does put you in a different state of mind once you've been approached, or once that you get that sensation that something has happened to you, right? Or even at that, even just by dreams, or just special things that start happening around you, right? And then you start seeing things. You start seeing UFO crafts. You start seeing extraterrestrial in different dimensions. Sometimes come out on your photos, on your videos, things that you are not ready to see at times. But a lot of times these things happen to people for a reason, and the reason is for for Nancy today, because she's going to tell you her story and why this happened to her. And she wants to give her full disclosure out on what happened to her. And I want you guys to listen to this story and listen to her, because she's got a lot of good things to say. Now, without further ado, without me jabbering, jibber jabber so much, let's go ahead and bring her on now. Okay, here we go.
Hello.
There she is. Hey, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Right on, and I'm glad you're on the show today.
Thank you.
And you and I talked a little bit, and then you've been chiming in on a lot of our podcasts, and then that's when I started getting to know you a little bit more, and then watching your other podcasts. Can you tell our audience and the listeners out there as well, just the video and audio listeners, exactly how all of this unfolded and started for you?
Well, it's happened all my life. And when I was young, I just thought I was flying around, and they told me I was a little princess, and we were just flying around going all these places. And they used a lot of screen memories, so I would be playful and happy and cooperative as they taught me things. So as I got older, I just kind of would brush it off, not really knowing what it was. And whenever I would try to talk to my mother and father about it, they would say, "You've had a bad dream." Or they'd say, "Oh, your imagination." They really, brushed it off, because they probably thought it was just an imaginary friend or thing going on, and I would outgrow it. But
Right.
you can't outgrow things like this. So then when I got in my 20s, extraterrestrials started showing themselves to me, and I had to face it. I realized this is real, this is happening to me. And I started to ask them, why me? what is going on? Why me? And they showed me a vision of myself being born, and that I had made an agreement to come here for this particular time to help humanity to get used to the idea of extraterrestrials, and to help it in ascension, and to just help people understand what it is, what's happening, what their agendas are, the misconceptions, and all that kind of thing. So they've kind of pretty much groomed me all my life. And they always told me, you'll know when the time is right to start doing what we want you to do. And that is to educate people, because they wanted me to experience everything about it, so that when I discuss it with others, I know firsthand, what it's like to be scared. I know what firsthand how you have to wonder why you, and all these different things. They always make sure that I experience everything. So everything kind of makes sense now. My whole life has been just a living, learning journey up until now. And I am so thrilled to be who I am. And I've looked at myself within, and I know who I am. And I know that we have a beautiful, bright future ahead of us if we allow them to come into our lives.
Well, let me ask you this: on when this first started, how old were you, and at the same time, how did you know if these entities were friendly, or was it a friend or foe? I mean, did you
It
know?
was always a friend, and they can change their image. They can change the scenery around you, so it was always making me feel special, and making me feel loved and wanted, and showing me different things. But I was a toddler, and that's when I really remembered it. And at times I would get scared, and I think at times I was okay with it. But
Right.
they pick up on what you're vibrating, whether they pick up on emotions. So if you're fearful or scared or whatever, they pick up on that. So they can put you in like a trance state, so that you're still learning things and you're still doing things, but it's really your subconscious is really doing all the things. So as I got older, they would give me more conscious time, so I could piece everything together. And they're very patient. They have been very patient with me, because it took me a long time to understand it all, and to just accept it. I mean, the main thing is accepting it. And I do. I mean,
Now, as an older as you grew older, in your 20s and 30s or whatever,
yeah.
did you actually get to see them, as far as
Oh,
like
yeah. Oh, yes. Face to face. Yes. And touch them and see what their skin feels like. And they feel kind of like a dolphin. And
I've heard
they're
that.
kind of cold feeling. And the last time that I did have face to face and touched my female, she's like my ET mother. She's the one that comes to get me ever since I was a little person, a little toddler. She's always been with me, and she's wherever she takes me on craft or wherever, she's always with me. And then when I get on craft, I'm around other beings that are not exactly like her. She is a female gray, and she's almost my height, but I am taller than her. And she's just very loving. And I don't know how old she is, but I assume she's older than me because of the fact that I've been with her so long.
When you experienced your your time on or going to the craft, how did this take place? When was your first time actually going into the actual craft, and knowing that you were in a different place other than on the ground of Earth? You know what I mean? Like on your feet on the ground. You were on an actual ship or something like that.
Exactly. Well, the way it would happen is that I would sense their presence, something about them inside me. I always know. And for a long time, I would not open my eyes. And they may have told me not to open my eyes because they want things to be as easy as possible. So, but what they would do is my body would start vibrating all over from head to toe, toe to head, and vibrating. And then it's like you just kind of like start floating up, but then they would just grab my hand and take me. So now, I don't know, I think technology may have changed a little, but they vibrate you at a higher frequency. And when we vibrate, we get out of the 3D frequency, because in 3D we wouldn't be able to go through walls or through doors or up the ceiling. And I've always been able to look down when I'm going up and see my bed empty. So
Wow.
basically they're just changing my frequency, and then they're carrying me up to craft. And a lot of times they'll use the smaller grays to come down, which is what my female, I call her my female ET mother. She's one of the smaller grays, and they're the ones that usually do the back and forth stuff. And the taller grays and the other beings are always up in craft.
Right. And that's strange. We have an actual Facebook user says, my stepson and I have the feeling of calm over us. So they might be experiencing the same things as you as well. Like a calming sensation when they're around. Now, when you say the frequency and it changed, do you hear any kind of humming, any buzzing in your ears, anything while this is happening?
I don't know. It's hard to explain. Everything changes. It's like you focus in on the vibration, and you just sort of like you're at one with it. And now I am at a higher frequency, and it's not so much that I just vibrate. It's like when the minute they come, I know they're there. And the next thing I know, I'm standing up holding hands with my female ET mother. And, and again, it depending on, how they catch me, my type of emotion that I'm showing. If it's, normal and stuff, then it's okay. But I do know, for example, I was in Mexico in September, and my son and I, he has experiences too. And he was supposed to get us down to Mexico at San Jose del Pacifico, which is up in the mountains. And they wanted us to see all of the people there. And there's a dying race there, and they wanted us to see. And they wanted us to see the examples of like how important plants and nature is, how important water, all animals, all things are important to them. Human beings are just a very small fraction of what they love about Earth, because we're not all that there is. And so whatever we do disturbs the balance of all things. So that's why they come down when we start tinkering around with nuclear weapons, and they do not like that. They will not allow that. And they'll go in and disarm them and things of that nature. And I promise you, they won't let them go carry anything up in space either. They love our planet. They love everything on it, including the insects, everything. And they played a part in our creation, and also a part of everything here on Earth. So everything they love and everything they want it to last forever. And they're just waiting for us to grow up and become mature enough to understand their presence. And
on your connection, I'm going to ask you this question. This is what I ask all my guests.
Okay.
Why do you think they chose you?
I think I was an extraterrestrial before I came here, because they do treat me rather special. And my sign says it's unbelievable how much love that you get shown. So I think I was probably an extraterrestrial before. I don't know that for a fact, but I am planning on getting some past life regression done, because there's a lot of questions. But I sort of know in my heart and have a feeling that I probably am. And the reason they allow me to learn things as I get older and as I come to a better understanding of things, I know that they won't give me too much information at one time consciously, because they want me to enjoy my human life, and they don't want to interfere with that. And it's very important that I maintain my human life and enjoy my experience here. Although I came here to help them, to help humanity get used to the idea of ETs being a part of our life.
When now I know as us human beings, we tend to uh, um, when we think when things happen to us, right? Some things scare us, some things don't, some things are we have to wipe our eyes. Or is this? Am I seeing this? Is this really happening to me? Now, when you're going through these. The visitations, we'll call them that, okay? When you're going to the visitations that they're talking to you, do you feel, or when it first, I know it happened to you when you were a child, but as
Yes.
I guess what they did was they gradually got you going into getting used to seeing
Yes.
them, seeing
Yes.
exactly what they are.
Exactly.
So, and then after, as your teenage years, your 20s, when you start seeing them, you think of them as normal entities or normal human beings, or almost like like
I
talking.
was scared for a long time. I
That's
was. I
that's my
was scared for a long time. And, you know, I'm 63 years old, and it was in my 50s really before I was just like, okay. And, then I just, I would ask, let me be conscious more, I want to remember, I want to do this. And it's great. I mean, I get up there and I'm awful. It's hard to explain. It's like your first day at school, and you're looking around and you're wanting to play with things, pick things up to make it's your affirmation that it's real.
right.
And I've even thought about like trying to keep something, but I decided not to. And the reason why is because I don't need that affirmation. I know that they're real. I know that it's happening, and I accept it. It is real, and I'm accepting it, and they are a part of my life.
Well, good for you. I'm glad you think that way.
Yeah.
So we do have a question.
Okay.
Honeyball says, "Do they show you things, and uh, that takes time for you to figure out? In other words, do they show you something, and then after a while, maybe a year later or a couple of months later, oh wait a minute, yeah, that's what they were trying to tell me."
They've showed me they have showed me lots of things, and I've got to experience lots of things. I've gone on craft, and I was with other humans, and I basically said, "What's going on here? What are we doing?" And there were other extraterrestrials on board, including one aquatic being, and um, I had no clue really what was going on, except that we were looking for these beings that were in the wrong place. In other words, they were like in our dimension, and they weren't supposed to be here. And I was with a group of ETs that were looking for these, what we call cryptids now, but I didn't know that that's what they were called at the time it was going on, to be honest with you.
Right.
And so we would go looking for them, and they would get them and transport them back to the right place that they belong, because they didn't want them here because it causes havoc and it makes people scared, and they didn't need to be here. And
So when you say cryptids, are we kind of talking
I'm
like
talking about like
Bigfoot?
animal beings,
Oh,
animal beings,
okay.
different types. Some look like our version, or not necessarily like a cat, but some feline type looking species. And then there's aquatic species. And there was
Right.
different things. And
Yeah.
really and truly, I was just an observer. So
That's the thing that I always I think about too sometimes, is like I last podcast I did we talked about mermaids and things like that. So and of course, and you got to think about this just for a minute. What a better place to hide but in the
oh
ocean,
yeah.
where we've
I
only
think they have I think they have bases underwater. As a matter of fact, I've had an experience where when they come and get me, the same female comes and gets me, and we go to we have to walk across a little like ramp thing to get in a craft that is on the water.
Wow.
So I've been in that type things too.
They're asking, a Facebook user says, do they use some kind of symbols to talk to you?
You know, I even met a reptilian one time, and when I got to the craft, I looked at him and I said, "Are you going to let me remember this?" Because that, you know, for so long, they would not let me remember a whole lot. So
Right.
I was like, "Are you going to let me remember this?" And we shook hands or grasped hands, and he said, "Yes." And he had a symbol, and he was in like a suit with a symbol on the heart side. And but I wanted to remember it, and I saw it, but I couldn't tell you now what it was.
So it
So
was actually on that side, on the hard side. It was
yeah, it was a symbol.
just a symbol on the material, or
Yes, on the material.
okay.
Yes.
Wow. So let me ask you this.
And he was nice. You know, you hear
Was
all these bad things about reptilians, but that's the only one I've ever met. And like I
Would
say, the craft that I go on, there's other kinds of beings, a lot of humanoids, um, and then of course the grays, the tall grays, and then the little grays. But when you get on craft, you don't really see the little grays. They're kind of like the transport back and forth type.
I hear they're the little worker bees. Um,
Yeah.
so I was going to ask you this question:
Okay.
what do you think that the alien and human connection is since the beginning of time? In other words,
They had a part in our creation.
okay,
They tinkered with our DNA, and we are they've watched us all this time, and we are very unique. They're fascinated with us. We're the only beings that really have all these emotions, and they find us fascinating. And we have wondrous capabilities that we don't realize that we have because of our society and our governments and the people that are in charge making these decisions. We've been dumbed down. Our foods and things of that nature has toxins in them. All these things take away our pineal gland, and which means that we'd have a hard time being telepathic and things of that nature. But the thing is, we have a lot of these qualities, but we have to look within and bring them out again. And first off, realize we have them. We have potential.
exactly. I mean, and because I talked about this on my RH negative podcast, that that they're attracted to RH negative, but not just them, others as well. But and they're attracted to people that have better frequencies, or the intellect level is a little bit more up there. So that way, when they do talk to you telepathically or even communicate with you, you're able to understand, because you're not closed minded, right? You're open minded to everything.
Yes.
For one. And two, you have a nice aura. You're a nice person at that, right? Because why would they communicate with somebody that's mean or ugly or anything like that? They're not going to get across to anybody that way, right?
I don't think so. I think, I don't know. My mother asked me the same thing. Why did they pick you? And I was like, Mother, I really don't know, other than I was probably an extraterrestrial before I came here. And, I would like to answer those questions to her, because she's curious too, just like I am. But I don't think the blood factor really plays into it at all, to be honest. I mean, I'm a positive, so far
Right.
cry from that. And my son is A positive. So you have to realize there's like different ETs that are coming here,
Just gonna say.
and there's what I have, the kind that I have grown up with and love, and they're my family, are
Right.
interdimensional beings. And there's a lower realm of beings. And one time, I don't really know who they were, but there was some humanoid looking people around, and they
Right.
tried to take me, and they got me in craft. And all of a sudden I'm like laid out on like a exam table, and they're like ooh, we got to send her back. Oh, we can't touch her. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So, and that was that. And I
Well,
thought that was unusual. But now I've kind of like pieced it all together that was probably, I belong to the interdimensionals. I am theirs, and
right.
the other ones have to stay away from me.
This probably because they're a higher power.
They are.
They're a very
Yes,
high
they
power.
are.
So
Yes,
they have more control over this. In other words, like, hey,
yes,
you can't do this or do that, right? Uh,
exactly.
so this is a great conversation, by the way.
Well, thank you.
There's a lot of people watching, a lot of people loving it. If you guys love it, give us a heart. Please comment. We just love this. So we're gonna take a real quick commercial break. All right, about
All right.
maybe 1 minute long. Let's go 1 minute, and then we'll come right back. Okay,
All right.
here we go. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed my trailer. So
That
that will
was
be
cool.
that will be coming out pretty soon here in a couple of weeks. We're
Awesome.
very excited about it. So let's continue on. Now, we were talking about how these alien entities, different dimension, they are a higher power. Now, let me ask you this question, and then I know
Yeah.
it's you were able to touch up on one of my podcasts that you we talked about a little bit. Do these extraterrestrials uh, believe in God or a higher power?
They believe in a creator source, one creator, and it's not the way that we believe. They don't have like the Methodist, Baptist, blah blah blah.
Right.
They have creator source is what they call it, and he or it made everything. So yes, they do.
So they do.
Yes, they do.
I've read that too, and I've touched on it a few times on my past podcasts that they do believe in a higher power or a creator. Is actually what they said was on one of the stories that I did that they're a believer of one creator of all. So this is what it is. Is that pretty much what you're saying
Yes,
there?
yes. And as as we get to a higher frequency or we ascend, which I think we're probably real close to being 4 and pushing on 5. So as we get closer, all these things will be easier to understand. But from what I've been told, or my perception of it, is that when you die, you go back to source, or you can either you can stay in a light form, or you can choose to incarnate in different forms.
Right.
So, but some people, if they've finished all the experiences that they need to experience or want to experience, they may just stay up in that higher level, a higher, non-physical, I guess. Yes, there's my word, non-physical state, and just
Right.
be a light being. Yeah.
Right. It's like be a part of the universe and really.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. Yes.
Right. We hear that a lot, from folks that talk about that, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, that's a great way of thinking too. There's nothing wrong with that. And so when you experience these things, when they contact you, right? Why contact and the telepathic connections or communication? Why is that? Why talk to you, kind of telepathically? You know what I mean? To some folks.
When I hear them, they
Yeah.
have you can tell whether it's male or female. I hear it in my head. It's definitely a male or female voice, and it's just like I, it just sounds like a human being would be talking. Only they're not talking, but you know exactly what's going on.
When you're
It's just
faced
so bizarre.
well, when you're face to face with them, do you see any kind of movement from their faces as far as like when they're talking to you telepathically? Do you see like any kind of
They may nod
facial
or
expressions? Okay.
something of that nature. Yeah. Or, put their hand on my hand or, certain things like that. And sometimes we put hands together like that.
Right.
That's like an embrace kind of thing, kind of like that. So they do everything to make you feel comfortable, and they read your mind. You really can't hide anything from them. So they sort of cater to you. And I probably need all that reassurance and love.
Right.
So, and that's probably why, because my son's relationship with them is a little different. And I wanted to tell you this: when we were in Mexico and they came to see us just about every night. And one night they came and I woke up and raised up and looked, and they took their hand and on my back, on my shoulder, and just kind of like lay down and told me, this is not about you. And I laid down and I was out. And so they were there for him. So, and then when he came back, I really don't even remember waking up for that. I just know the next morning he didn't really remember whether they were there or not, but he
Right.
does have experiences with them.
Well, let me.
And when
We have
but I wanted to tell you this. When they came to get me, and I looked up and I was holding hands with the female gray, and it was very cold there because we were up in the mountains, and I rubbed her hands and I said, "Oh, you're cold." And she didn't say anything. But then I look over at my son. He's over across the room in a different bed, and he's like constantly trying to get up. And it's so hilarious. I mean, now, not then. He was like up, and he couldn't get up.
wow.
So he's in tune with them. He knew they were there, but they put him out. And so then that was the night they wanted me.
Well, that
And
that was a question from from Moneyball. He says, do they, ask family members or do they make contact? Do they experience something? You talked about your mom knowing about this as well. Now,
yes, my sister too. Yes, I have a sister 11 months younger than me, and
right,
she's had experiences, but that's her story to tell,
right,
not mine.
exactly. But when y'all talk about this together, is that like the first conversation that comes up, or is it kind of like, hey, they came the other night or whatever because or
Oh,
something just
we talk
happened to you?
about it because, well, especially, I mean, we've talked about it forever, to be honest. I mean, because trying to piece things together, we've always known. It's just, you you try to live your normal life, and you're told not to talk about it
Right.
outside, or just not to talk about it, because you just don't talk about it. So,
Exactly.
but she and I always did on our own,
Well, good.
and my son and I always have.
Well, that's
And I
good.
saw the first time that they came to get him and his brother, and that was upsetting at first. But we were Key West. We were staying at a Marriott right on the beach, and we had two big beds. My ex-husband and I were in one bed,
Mhm.
and 3 children were in the other bed, my 2 sons and a stepson. And I woke up and there were 3 grays. They like to travel in threes. And I looked, and they took my push down on my shoulder and said, Go back,
Right.
So then they walk over and to the children, and at that point I'm laying down and I can't see and I can't really get up or anything. They made sure of that. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to take my children. And they were young at this age. So I was like, I need to be a part of this, but that was not the agenda. Their mind is different than ours. They're the little short ones, they're on a mission, they're on a task,
Right.
and they come for them. They didn't come for me, so I don't get to be a part of it. And there's no negotiating or anything of that part, because they
Right.
don't have the emotions and the mind. Our mind is quite different than their mind.
They're just
But
told you, just told what to do, basically.
well, they stick to their task.
Okay.
Their agenda is sticking to a task, the mission. And it could be that they were doing an exam on them to check them.
Right.
I've had experiences where I know things, and they were just checking on how we're evolving, things of this nature. Just checking on us. They do. That's what an exam is. It's kind of just checking up on your maturity level and your acceptance of them, and just how you're progressing as a human being.
How about well, and your psyche as well, right? Like they want to
Yes,
know if you're
yes,
okay. Just like
yes. Hmm.
so we have a question from Ryan Keaton. He's asking, what's the most interesting piece of information that you've learned from them?
That human beings are unique, and we are very special, and we have lots of capabilities that lie dormant within our DNA. And probably a lot of that is the junk DNA, which is probably extraterrestrial as well.
Right.
And that's what makes us so unique. And another thing a lot of people don't realize, where these lower level extraterrestrials are low level, they can only stay in the solar system. They can never become interdimensional or leave the solar system. We have the capability, once we ascend and all, we have the ability to become interdimensional. So that is why these the evil reptilian, or the bad reptilians, I won't say evil, bad reptilians and the bad grays. But you have to understand, there's different races of reptilians and there's different races of grays. There's at least 62 type races of grays. Some,
Right.
They come from different star systems and things of that nature. But the thing is, these lower rim, and I think the Anunnaki is included in the lower rim, they cannot become interdimensional. So they want to hold us back, because as long as they hold us here, dumbed down, they have control of everything. And they work with the cabal and different factions of our governments that really don't want us to ascend and become who we are capable of being, which is galactic human beings. And we will be well respected if we play our cards right. We accept that extraterrestrials are here, and that they're not here to hurt us. They're here to help us. They've always been here and they've always helped us. And if we accept that and start trying to be better humans,
Right.
trying to raise our own vibrational level by thinking positive,
Right.
and, learning to get along with everyone and not holding up prejudice and being racist and things of this nature. We have
Right.
a lot of growing up to do it, but we're getting better. It's just going to take time, and they're very patient. That's the beauty of it, is that they're patient and they're just watching us evolve.
Well, and then you touched on what you were talking about before you brought that up, that the that our pineal gland, that they put all these chemicals, like you said, in our food. They put chemicals
Well,
in.
fluoride, and there's 100 other things.
Yeah, of course, and fluorides in water, and a lot more fluorides in others places,
Mhm.
whatever. and everything that to keep your kind of your mind not to grow any more than it
Exactly,
needs to.
because
Right?
it keeps us dumbed down and at a level that they can control. And another thing is that we should not be living this 9 to 5, working our tails off. The human experience, this is the school, this is an experience. We should be enjoying our life, enjoying our families, enjoying every aspect of it, from young to middle age to getting old. We shouldn't be living with all these hardships. We should be enjoying it. So once we accept their help, we will learn how we can slow up a little bit, and that materialistic things and working all these hard hours is causing us to miss out on our lives and our children and things. So with their help, we can learn all these things. So it they can do so much for us. They can help cure diseases. They can stop poverty.
Right.
We shouldn't even be paying for electricity or any of these things.
Well,
And
that's very well said because because I always I preach this a lot at home. It's like let's go out here, let's go do this, let's go camping, let's go spend some time together. We always work, 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 work. We're constantly working, right? And
yeah,
and in our own in a different way, we almost suppress ourselves.
we
Uh,
do. But
and to
that's the
not
way you were raised.
right.
It's the way. So we have a lot to learn, but they're here watching us. And once we accept them and we make an effort to raise our vibrational level, then we can have face to face and they can help us. So
Well, I
this
hope they
year,
I hope they do. And I hope they reach more people in this in the good realm and the good ones. I'm not talking about the little bad ones, those nasty ones that
well,
take us and stuff. And
there's one thing, all this stuff is kind of all laid out. I don't know everything, but I know that timelines are kind of laid out. Certain things have to happen. And the way I understand it is that the first ETs that we do meet face to
yeah,
face may not be the interdimensionals,
right.
may not, but it will happen. But I don't know. There are a lot of things have to fall into place. And I don't know everything, but I know that there's a laid out agenda of a way it's all going to happen. It is going to happen, and I would hope that it would be them. And I don't know why it wouldn't be. But I'm human, so I don't know everything about
Well,
ETs.
and let's just I mean, what we're talking about tonight. Let's just kind of put it in a scale, right?
Yeah.
The interdimensional, the spiritual ones, they're up here, right? Way up here.
Yes.
Then we got
Mhm.
the ones in the middle, right? That you said that kind of just stay in the soul. And then we got the lower ones, the ones that are actually on Earth, the ones that are that can't get out nowhere, and different ones that are almost like the nasty ones. What I'm trying to say is the ones that
Yes.
that do these horrible things to you, or the ones that
Well,
live in beneath the earth.
well, a lot of people that say they're abducted, I've never said I'm an abductee
Right.
because it's peaceful. I enjoy it. I look forward to it every night. I'm like, oh gosh, I hope they come. I mean, I, I love it.
Right.
It's exciting. It's very exciting. But some of these people that have been abducted, and you hear all these horror stories, I even don't think it. They don't probe. I mean, their technology, they have all this stuff. They don't have stuff like that. But anyway, I think they were either abducted by some of the lower rim, or it could have even have been some government people in disguise. I've heard that has happened a whole lot too,
Right.
and
Right.
and so that puts a big fear against the interdimensionals. It makes it harder for people to accept them.
We have a question out there. Someone's Annabelle saying, "Are you expecting something to happen
I know
anytime
something's
soon?"
going to happen. I don't really know everything about it, but I do know that something's going to happen. Yeah.
Do you think that they had? in our past some kind of contact, possibly with the
Yes,
with the Egyptians, with the Aztecs, or
yes,
the
yes,
Peruvians, people back in the day. Did you think they had some kind of influence?
absolutely. You know, a lot of things that if you go way, way back, you'll see there was a lot of great ideas and a lot of technology back there. Then it just kind of like all disappeared because of these lower realm extraterrestrials got involved and started changing everything. So
Right,
when that happened, you know, they started forming religions and banking and um, time. Extraterrestrials do not have time. They do not have money. Um, you know, these are all man-made things, or someone came up with it to keep us in a working world and under a thumb. It's almost like being a slave. If you think about it, you're a slave to your job. You're a slave, and you spend more hours at your job than you do with your family. And but that's the way they want us, you
well,
know.
I have this saying. I work to live. I don't live to work. So, and that's my saying as far as that. And then, people are talking, well, I'm going to go work for the man. I got to go work for the man. Because we work so hard, and like I said, because they it puts us in a different place, right? Of course, we now with times have changed, everything. Once currency came into play, currency has everything to do with everything. It's trade or barter before that, then currency, and then now here we go. Now a lot more people get suppressed because of money issues, right, or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
it's really
and
sad.
they taught us, like you're saying from the very beginning, even back in the day of the Egyptians, even probably before that, you know, uh, mathematical skills, that are still they're still questioning today. How is it that they were so precise? Now we know that a string can be pretty precise sometimes, but the intellect of putting this in this kind of scale, right? To build these pyramids, to build the Sphinx, to build all these things, the pyramids in Mexico, everything, they all connect, right? Um,
Everything's connected, but I think the pyramids were already there before the Egyptians ever came.
I
And
say over and over.
yeah, and there's pyramids all over the world. That's not the only place. You
Right,
know, we even have some in the United States. We have, and I've personally gone to the ones in South America. So, you know, I think there was a civilization even before those that we know about that
right.
did those. So just like there was Atlantis, and I think Atlantis was real, and those people either they died or they migrated over to other parts of the world, over towards Egypt or Africa, or even over in Greece or different places. They ventured off. So not all of them made it, but a lot of them did.
So we have a Facebook user out there is asking, do they allow
Yes,
you to ask questions?
yes, they do.
Right
Yes, they
on.
do. And a lot of times they'll say, "You already know."
Wow.
And I'm like, "What?" But I do know that they expect you, if they tell you one time, they expect you to remember it like they do. And humans don't quite necessarily do that. So, but they always tell me, I do know it.
Right. Wow.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'll have to think about it then.
Well, I mean, there you go with you have not you, but just as a person, your intuition,
Well,
the,
being a human, you tend to question things, and you second guess, you know, in other words, you may have a gut feeling, but then you second guess it, and you just really should follow it the first time. Don't question it, just accept it. So I'm getting better, but everything takes time when it comes to this. This is not a easy process, I can tell you that. But
well,
once it's beautiful once you get to a certain point, it's just beautiful, and there's nothing like it. But there's a lot before you get there, and that's the beauty about my me being an experiencer and a contactee. And I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's probably a million others like me.
Right.
And if I can encourage people to come out and start doing what they came here to do, we're here on a mission, then it'll be beautiful, and we can help raise the vibrational level of the whole world. My goal is, I'm not talking about just here in the United States. The mission is to get all of humanity, the whole world.
And you know what? You're actually starting in the right place, because
yes,
right here on Alien Strand, we are worldwide.
Yes.
People watch our show worldwide. Yes. Even our audio podcasts are worldwide. They're
this is a worldwide event, and so I hope I'm sparking contactees. Let's get it going, and let's raise the vibrational level. And we all do vibrate at a higher level. So right. You have all of us, but part of it, so that's a plus. Okay. But we still have to do our part in helping humanity and educating and getting people interested in doing their own research. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe anybody. Right. Do your own research, question everything.
Exactly.
And just, and then find what you're comfortable with, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Exactly. Everybody's on their own evolutionary scale, their own, on their own path. We're all here on different emissions. Everybody came from somewhere, and we all have ET in us, whether people like to believe that or not, but they had a part in our whole creation and tweaking our DNA so that we can actually have this type of conversation right now. Think about that. Look how far we've come, Exactly. So, and you have to know that there's a great thing that has gone on, and everything is connected, and everything is intentional design, so there's reasons for all these things, and they all fit together, and we just have to all work together and do our part and try to be better human beings.
Exactly. And that's why it
doesn't have to be done overnight, but every effort you make is a little bit closer to the goal. Yes.
To the goal. Yeah. Yes. And I always talk about that. It's like when I talk to abductees or I talk to contactees, it's a two different
I know. Yeah.
sides of the apple here. So and you're a contactee, you're not an abductee, like you talked about earlier. Yeah. Well, it's best to separate those two. So people out there that are actually into ufology or just started ufology, and you're watching this podcast or you're listening to this podcast today, just know the differences. There's differences, and
there's definitely a difference. And I'm not saying that what they experience is not true. I'm sure it is. I it's not my experience. I don't know, but I do know the interdimensionals and the ones that I am have a relationship with are interdimensionals, and they are good and loving, and they care about all of us and everything, not just us, the whole planet, the leaves. And they taught me that trees are living beings. Earth is a living being.
Yes.
And that trees, you can even have a communication with a tree. And we will evolve to where we can see and do these things. But that was one thing why they wanted us to go to Mexico, is because we could go in and we could experience these things of realizing that even water has energy, and different. You can expose it to different vibrations. It changes. It becomes different things. So it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's just simply beautiful.
And that's why the natives called Mother Earth, because
she is a living
thing, and everything around it is like the trees, the water, the air. Everything is alive.
Yes.
And they had it right the whole time.
Yes. Exactly.
Right the whole time.
And if you're good to her, she'll be good to you.
Exactly. exactly. And
So
vice versa with human beings.
yes,
Vice
that's
versa.
right. It's same concept. Yes.
Exactly. Well,
So
I hate to close out a show, but
I know.
we've reached our limit. But anyway, is there any final words that you'd like to tell anyone out there, everyone out there?
Well, I'd like to say try to be a better human being. Rome was not built in a day, and they don't expect us to figure this all out overnight. It takes time. They have patience and they have faith in us. They would not be here. They would not have watched us all this time if it wasn't for a great plan, a great reason. And if it wasn't a great and wondrous plan, we wouldn't be here right now. They would have already taken over and we would not be having this conversation. So I promise you, they are here to assist and help. They cannot come down here and they cannot fix everything. We are humans with free will. We have to fix our own mistakes, but big things they can step in and help.
Well, good. Yeah, yeah, that's the good thing. We if we learn from each other, just like you said, we and love each
Mhm.
other and just kind of work together, not just in the ufology world, but as a
Oh
whole,
yeah, just
as a whole, we can make
yes.
so much of a difference to the world
And
and the.
basically we're in a vessel, a meat suit. And if when you take that all away, we're all the same. We're all energy beings with light. So we're really all the same when you get down to it.
Right. So where can people find you if anybody wants to reach out to you?
On Facebook, I have Time for Disclosure. We've never been alone. And I also have my own website. It's called timefordisclosure.com. And anywhere. I belong to a lot of rooms, so you can pretty much find me anywhere if it's ET related. I'm a real fan of it. So
Right on. Well, everybody says you did a nice job, a great
well,
job.
thank you. I hope
Very
so.
Yes, it was very informative. We had a lot of questions out there. You like I said, you did an amazing job. There was a lot of questions that you did answer. And I'm glad that you were able to put this out there so people can understand what not just being like an abductee or a contactee, but your whole experience with it all, as far as them as entities and
Right.
being good entities.
And they're patient. That's the beauty of it is, they know us better than we know ourselves. So they are patient and they do understand that we have fear and emotions and they'll work with us.
Wow. Well, that's great. We will point more people to you. Okay.
Thank
And,
you.
and what we'll do is, I'd really love to get you on the show again. We'll
I would
talk
love
soon.
to. Yes.
Uh,
This
so
is all new, so thank you for having me. And it's another experience that I'm getting to learn to do. So I love it.
right on. You did a great job, man. Everybody
Thank
just
you.
enjoyed your everything that you had to say tonight. So thank you for being on the show
Thank
tonight. We
you.
really appreciate you, and I will talk to you here shortly. If you can hang back just for a minute, and then we'll close out the show. And just, man, was a great podcast. I really loved it. Thank you for being on the show, Nancy.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Nancy Times, man. She did an amazing job, man. It was awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm glad that she was here to talk about her experiences, because these are things that folks as well experience, because I've had podcasts with other folks as well, not very many like her, but they have similar experiences and they go through these things as well. I believe Marisol was one of them as well, and they're able to connect to these spiritual entities or beings or extraterrestrials in a good way, and for them to have some kind of understanding, right, of life and just how to live and to help, right, and to help people, for us to evolve into a better species, right? Because that's basically what we are. We're the human species. We're our brothers and sisters. I don't care who you are. So, and that's what we are, as one. Like she says, we are one. So just always remember that. And I'm glad you guys were able to watch this podcast tonight. I really appreciate it. It was a great one. This one will be on audio as well tomorrow night, and just catch it on iHeartRadio, Spotify. It'll be on Spreaker. It'll be 26, 27 platforms. You can even ask Alexa, and Alexa will play you some Alien Strand podcast. So I'm glad you guys have stuck around. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, don't forget to catch our Alien Strand extras. If you can join for free, or you can do the $5 paid one. And believe me, I'm going to have a bunch of stickers to give away to paid members. And I have some shirts coming up that I'll be giving to paid members. And, it's because it's saying thank you, right? Because thank you to all you guys that are here just watching Disclosure as it unfolds before your eyes. And as you hear it as well. And that's what it's about. And we have to all work together. And by doing this and listening to our shows, we're able to work together. So until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening, and have yourselves a good night.
This is ASDP ufologist Terry Ledge from Oregon. You're watching the Mothership Alien Strand podcast with your host, Donald Ledesma.